Hello and thank you for watching another episode of Brooklyn's World. In this episode I'm going to go into the topic of gastroparesis, which is another of the secondary conditions that I have got from, well, I'm not quite sure. It either could be lupus or fibromyalgia or a combination of both, and possibly I will never know which one is the culprit. I first heard about this condition about 4 years before I was actually diagnosed with it. My now late auntie had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and my curious mind needed to find out more about this. Whilst learning about Parkinson's, I read about this disease called gastroparesis. This condition got my attention, and the list of symptoms looked like they'd written an article just about me. I had mentioned to many doctors and rheumatologists that there was something wrong with my stomach, but none of them seemed to believe me or take any notice of me. I was given some medications to try over the years, but none of them seemed to really help me very much or do anything. And none of the doctors or rheumatologists would give me a referral so I could delve into this more. I was just suffering. My stomach issues and eating were just getting worse and worse. So one day I just cracked it. I went to a new doctor and I demanded that I get a referral to a gastroenterologist. Within 6 weeks, I was diagnosed with moderate gastroparesis. I had to have a few tests to get this diagnosis confirmed. The gastroenterologist took me off the stomach emptying medication that I was on and put me on anti-nausea medication instead. And what happened? I got the complete opposite side effects from what a normal person would get from taking anti-nausea medication. So I had to be taken off that, and then I was put straight back on to the stomach emptying medication again. I had to have a heart monitor on for 24 hours as the stomach emptying medication can cause heart issues. The next treatment that I was put on was to follow a low FODMAP diet for about 2 months. Now, I didn't understand why I needed to try this diet because it's generally used to treat IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, which I hadn't been diagnosed with. This part of the video is quite hard for me, as I don't think that many people understand just how awful it is not to be able to eat properly. I get told so many times, "You eat like a bird. That's not enough for you to eat. Have more. Let me fill your plate. No wonder you're so thin if you eat like that." There is a really big misunderstanding about this condition. It's not that I don't want to eat, it's just that I cannot eat what is deemed as normal to most people. And I also don't want to make myself sick by being pressured by others to eat what they think I should be eating. Just imagine being so nauseous you can hardly walk and feeling like your stomach is so full that it is about to explode. It ruins my day, friendships, socialization, and my general demeanor. I get classed as a picky eater, but the truth is I love food and I wish that I could eat just like everyone else, but for now, that's not my life. Let me give you a little insight into what I eat in a day. So here we go, making breakfast. This is all of my breakfast medication. Now this is a pretty average breakfast for me, just one piece of toast, which usually I have Vegemite on. Sometimes I'll change it up, but Vegemite's the goer. My pill container full of all of my pills, some coffee, and that's it. Now some mornings I can't even manage to finish all of that. I will have to leave some because I'm either starting to feel too full or I'm just starting to feel sick. After breakfast, I do try to start my water intake for the day. Now, getting water or any liquids into me can be quite difficult because of my interstitial cystitis and because my bladder only holds around 200 mils of liquid at a time. So everything has to go in really slowly and I can't force liquid into me, otherwise I'll feel extremely unwell and it all just comes back up again. So it's a pointless exercise. I always have my little Camelback drink bottle with me. I've usually got one of these attached with me wherever I go. Now this one carries about 750 mils of water. Now if I can get through this in a day, then it's a pretty good day for me and I'm quite pleased with myself. But most of the time it's usually only about half to 3/4 that I can actually get through. I usually have breakfast around 6 AM and generally I'm not hungry again for another meal until around 6 PM. I generally don't have lunch, but I do have a little small snacks throughout the day if I'm feeling just a little bit peckish. At the moment for dinners, I am getting through with some homemade vegetable soup. All of the vegetables in this are the low FODMAP vegetables and it basically just turns out like a pumpkin kind of soup. This one is frozen. I make big batches and freeze them. Now the portions that I can fit into my stomach is basically one of these little containers and each one holds 200 mils of soup, and then with that I will just have 2 rice cakes which are also on the low FODMAP. So that is dinner and that fills me up and keeps me full until I'm ready for breakfast the next morning. There are also some other foods that I have found do agree with me and I can eat, and as long as I don't go pretty much above the 200 mil or my little container size worth of portion at a time, I can eat and I can quite enjoy. So that's my main list of staples that I've been having at the moment that are just keeping me going and keeping my nutrition up and all my vitamins and mineral levels okay. I do have other things throughout the day, but it really is just in tiny amounts and sometimes it's even just for a taste of something. So it's nothing substantial and nothing that really counts towards a proper food intake. I really hope that my gastroenterologist will be able to sort this out for me and I will be able to eat like what I class as a normal person. And I also have to remember after dinner not to have too much liquid, because I need to be able to have a drink so I can take my medication just before bedtime. I did another gastric emptying studying done, and the results from this one came back that I didn't have gastroparesis at all. I'm like, what the? Yes, I do. The gastroenterologist decided to treat me for IBS. I have no idea why he decided to go down this road, because none of my symptoms seem to be linked to IBS at all. It may have something to do with those words that I never like to hear from a doctor or specialist. I don't know what to do with you. You're just too hard. So he prescribed me an antibiotic, which is usually used for people with liver disease, traveller's diarrhea, and IBS. He said to try it for 2 months, and hopefully that will help with some of my symptoms. So far, the antibiotics have made absolutely no difference to me or my symptoms, so that was a complete fail. And that is where I'm at with my gastroparesis journey so far. The jury's still out to whether any of these treatments have been working, but I guess to try and find a good side to all of this, I have been able to get a little bit more nutrients into my body, and I don't feel so violently nauseous as I used to. So I guess that is a plus, but there's still a long way to go before my stomach is really under control. I have more appointments and more treatments to try, so I will find out more when I see my gastroenterologist in a couple of weeks. I'll keep you updated on what happens next, so stay tuned to Brooklyn's World. Thank you for watching this episode. I really do appreciate your support, and don't forget to subscribe.